I am a scientist, a person who has always believed in reason and evidence. But what I experienced after my heart stopped beating changed everything. It was not just a typical near-death experience, NDE. It was a warning, a shocking revelation about a hidden secret in Antarctica. I saw Jesus. He did not speak in words, but my mind was suddenly flooded with images, terrifying truths about the edge of the Earth. I saw that the massive ice walls were not just geological formations, but sealed gates, holding back something ancient, something supernatural, a secret that could change the way we understand this world. I returned from the dead with a truth no one wants to hear. What has the government been hiding? Why do those who get too close to that area disappear? I need to tell you, but are you ready? Comment 999 now to receive the message and connect with this story. I never believed in anything beyond science. I built my career on logic, on data, on the cold, hard facts that govern the universe. Faith, the supernatural, the idea of some higher power pulling the strings, it was all nonsense to me. At least that's what I thought, until the day I died. It happened on February 12th, 2025, during an Antarctic expedition that was supposed to be like any other. My team and I were investigating mysterious electromagnetic signals beneath the ice. Signals that defied explanation. We had spent months preparing, drilling deeper than anyone had dared before. But the deeper we went, the stranger things became. At first, it was small anomalies, glitches in our equipment, strange interference in our readings. Then the whispers started. Faint, distorted voices echoing through our communication devices. We told ourselves it was just the wind, the pressure of isolation playing tricks on our minds. But deep down, I think we all felt it. That growing sense that we were not alone. And then everything collapsed. The ice beneath us gave way, swallowing me into the abyss. I felt the brutal impact, the suffocating cold. And then, nothing. But I wasn't gone. I found myself floating above my own body, staring down at the wreckage, the panicked movements of my team trying to dig me out. But there was something else. Things I couldn't explain. Glowing figures of light surrounded my team, and with them, dark, shadowy entities lurking at the edges. They pulsed and shifted, as if waiting for something. For me. That's when I saw him. Jesus stood before me, radiant beyond anything I'd ever seen. Not the figure from paintings, not the distant symbol of religious stories, but real, undeniable, and powerful. He looked at me. Not with judgment, but with an understanding so deep, it unraveled everything I thought I knew. The dark forces have no power over those who belong to me, he said. His voice was calm, absolute. I wanted to argue. I wanted to tell him that I didn't belong to anyone. But the moment the thought formed, I realized how small my knowledge was in comparison to what stood before me. Then, without warning, he took me on a journey. We moved, not walked, not flew, but moved, through layers of existence I had never imagined. And suddenly we were standing in a place I recognized, Antarctica. But not the Antarctica I had known. In an instant, the landscape around us shifted, and I found myself standing before something that defied everything I had ever known. The Antarctic ice walls. But they weren't natural. They weren't the result of shifting glaciers or ancient climate shifts. They had been placed there, deliberately. These walls were built as a seal, Jesus said, his voice calm but heavy with meaning. A seal. The word sent a chill through me deeper than death itself, because that meant something had been locked away, and whatever it was, the world wasn't meant to find it. I looked at the ice again, and for the first time, I saw what I had never noticed before. This wasn't just frozen water. This was a barrier, thick, reinforced by forces beyond human comprehension. It wasn't just a physical blockade. It was something more. I could feel it. The way the air seemed to hum with energy. The way my very soul trembled standing in its presence. "What is behind it?" I asked. My voice barely sounded like my own. Jesus didn't answer immediately. Instead, he placed his hand on my shoulder. And suddenly we were moving again, through the ice. And beneath it, my eyes beheld something that shattered every belief I had about history, about the world, about reality itself. Ancient structures, vast, stretching beyond sight, embedded in the frozen darkness. Cities, fortresses, not ruins, not remnants of a forgotten civilization, but something far more deliberate. These weren't merely lost, they had been contained. "This is what they fear," Jesus said, and I understood exactly who they were. Governments, institutions, the ones who decide what the world gets to know, the ones who tell us that Antarctica is just ice, that there's nothing of interest beneath its surface, the ones who have kept the greatest secret of all locked away in classified files and restricted zones. They knew. They had always known. And yet, even they didn't truly understand what lay beneath. I turned back to Jesus, my mind racing. If these cities had been sealed away, then someone must have done the sealing. "Who built these?" I asked. His eyes met mine, and in that moment, I saw the truth. Not humans. Not just humans. I saw flashes of what had once been. An ancient war, a battle so colossal that it defied human imagination. I saw celestial beings descending, wielding power beyond anything in our history books. I saw fortresses, not as abandoned relics, but as prisons. And I saw the ones who had been locked away. They weren't dead. They were waiting. They were bound by divine authority, Jesus said, his voice carrying the weight of 1,000 forgotten histories. I wanted to look away, but I couldn't. The structures beneath the ice seemed to pulse, as if something inside was aware of us, watching. The ice was placed as a final measure, Jesus continued, a warning, a shield. But the world has forgotten, and now they dig. My mind flashed back to my team, to the drilling, the strange anomalies, the whispers. We thought we were uncovering secrets, but we were disturbing a seal that was never meant to be broken. As we moved through the frozen barrier and into the vast darkness beyond, I felt the weight of something more than just history pressing down on me. This was not just a secret hidden beneath the ice. It was a warning left for those who would come after. And now, standing at the edge of revelation, I realized the most chilling truth of all. I used to believe that the greatest discoveries in science were meant to push humanity forward, to unlock new knowledge, to better understand our world, to bring truth to light. But now, I know better. Some discoveries aren't meant to be revealed. Some truths aren't just hidden. They're protected, not for our safety, but for theirs. The governments, the elite, the ones who control the narrative, they've always known what lies beneath Antarctica. They've known for decades, maybe even centuries. But what they're doing now isn't about discovery. It's about control. It's about deception. And I saw it all before I was pulled back from the other side. When Jesus took me beyond the Antarctic ice walls, he showed me the truth, the ancient structures, the fortresses beneath the ice, and the entities that had been sealed away by divine authority. But that wasn't the most terrifying part. The most terrifying part was that they were already working to break the seals. I saw it. Elite figures, shadowy organizations, powerful governments, whispering in secret, orchestrating a deception so grand that the world wouldn't even question it when the time came. They weren't just digging into the ice for knowledge. They were breaking open something that was never meant to be disturbed. And when they were done, they would lie about what they found. They had a plan. One they were carefully setting into motion. Soon, the world would hear about a groundbreaking scientific discovery in Antarctica. One that would reshape history, challenge what we thought we knew, and captivate the public's imagination. It would start small: a press conference, a well-orchestrated media campaign, the release of classified information under the guise of new exploration. Maybe they'd say they found ancient ruins beneath the ice, evidence of a lost civilization. Maybe they'd claim proof of extraterrestrial contact. Maybe they'd frame it as the greatest discovery of all time, and people would believe it. Why wouldn't they? When the governments tell you it's true, when the scientists stand before cameras and assure you that this is what they've uncovered, why would you question it? That's the brilliance of their deception. It won't feel like a lie. It won't feel like manipulation. It will feel like progress, like something humanity has been waiting for. But what they won't tell you is that this discovery was never meant to be a gift to humanity. It was a weapon, a distraction, a carefully constructed illusion to mask what they were really doing. They weren't just uncovering history. They were releasing something sealed away for a reason. I saw the narrative they were preparing. They would say that what lay beneath the ice had been misunderstood for centuries, that ancient texts, myths, and religious prophecies had simply misinterpreted what had been buried. They would tell the world that what was once thought to be dangerous was actually a key to our evolution. They would twist the truth so skillfully that even those who once believed in the divine warnings would begin to question themselves. What if we were wrong? The world would ask. What if these ancient structures weren't prisons, but gateways? What if we're not releasing an enemy, but an ally? I saw the headlines, the carefully worded news reports, the charismatic figures appearing on screens, telling humanity that we had finally made contact. They would call it disclosure, a long-awaited revelation, a turning point for the world. And by the time people realized what had really happened, it would be too late. Jesus didn't just show me the ice walls, the fortresses beneath, or the entities waiting beyond. He showed me what had happened before. This wasn't the first time humanity had been deceived. I saw visions of the ancient world, civilizations long before our own, greater than anything in our history books. Societies that had once embraced the lie, that had mistaken darkness for light, had welcomed the things that were never meant to walk among men. I saw how it had ended for them. Destruction, collapse. An entire cycle, repeating itself over and over. Each time the deception was different, tailored to fit the beliefs of that era. And now, in our time, the deception was being designed for us. I understood then that what the governments and elites were doing wasn't just about power or knowledge. It was about ushering in something ancient, something that had been waiting, something that had been planning. And now, humanity was about to open the door for it. But the lie wouldn't end there. What they planned wasn't just a deception. It was a complete rewriting of human history, a reprogramming of belief itself. And the worst part? The world would welcome it with open arms. I never thought I'd be the one to say this. I spent my life believing in science, in hard evidence, in the things that could be measured and tested. Faith? Religion? I dismissed them as myths designed to comfort those who feared the unknown. But that was before I died. Before I stood beyond the veil of reality and saw the truth for myself. Now I realize that everything I thought I knew was a lie. And worse, the biggest lie is yet to come. When Jesus pulled me from the darkness and showed me what lay beneath the Antarctic ice, I wasn't just witnessing a hidden world. I was being shown the future, the deception that is already in motion, the narrative that has been carefully designed, slowly introduced, and will soon be unleashed upon the world. They will call it humanity's greatest evolutionary leap. But it will be the greatest deception of all time. It won't come as an invasion. It won't arrive in a way that sparks fear or resistance. No, they are far more patient than that. They know human nature. They know what we desire, what we fear, what we long for. And they will use it against us. The governments and elite figures who have spent decades keeping the secrets of Antarctica buried are not suppressing the truth out of ignorance or fear. They are waiting for the right moment, waiting until society is primed, until the world is willing, desperate even, to accept the lie they have prepared. It will begin with scientific discovery. A team of researchers, a major press conference, a stunning revelation that shakes the foundations of everything we thought we knew about human history. They will tell us that buried beneath the Antarctic ice, hidden for millennia, are our true origins. Not bones, not ancient human civilizations, something else. They will say that these hidden beings, these ancient powerful entities, are our creators, that they shaped the human race, guided our evolution, and left behind knowledge waiting to be rediscovered. They will frame it as a moment of enlightenment, a breakthrough that transcends religion, reshapes history, and unites mankind under one undeniable truth: that we were never alone. I saw how it would happen, how they would manipulate the world. Religions will be shaken. Faith will be challenged. The very foundation of belief will be called into question. If these beings created us, they will say, then what does that mean for God? For Jesus? For the stories we've been told since the beginning of time? It will seem so compelling, so logical. The evidence will be there. Artifacts, genetic links, hidden texts that suddenly make sense in light of this new revelation. And the masses will fall for it. I saw preachers and priests struggle, trying to explain the contradictions, trying to hold on to faith in the face of overwhelming proof. I saw churches divide, congregations split. Some will try to reconcile the lie with their beliefs. They will say, perhaps these beings were God's instruments. Perhaps they were angels, guiding humanity from the beginning. But that is not what the deception is meant to accomplish. It is meant to replace faith, to strip away the divine, to rewrite our origins, to destroy the truth so completely that people forget they were ever deceived. And it will work. I saw the way the world would react. It won't be met with fear, not at first. There won't be riots in the streets or mass panic. There will be awe, a collective sense of wonder, of belonging. The news will celebrate it. Leaders will call for unity. Scientists will claim that we are finally on the verge of unlocking our full potential, because that is what they will promise. Your ancestors worshipped us as gods, but we were merely guiding you. Now you are ready to ascend. That is what they will say. The world will be told that a new era is upon us. One where we shed our primitive beliefs and embrace the knowledge of our true creators. And people will beg for it. I saw the technologies they will unveil, advancements beyond anything we could imagine. Energy sources that defy our understanding. Healing techniques that make disease obsolete. The promise of extended life, of genetic perfection, of transcendence. You are meant for more, they will whisper. You have been kept in darkness for too long. Now, we offer you the light. And humanity, blinded by the illusion of progress, will welcome their chains. Jesus showed me what these entities really were. They are not our creators. They are not benevolent guides. They are the fallen, the ones who were cast down, who were sealed away, who have waited for the world to forget so they could return. The structures beneath the ice are not temples. They are prisons. And those who control the governments of the world, the ones who know the truth but serve the deception, are deliberately breaking the seals. I saw why. It's not just about rewriting history. It's about claiming dominion over humanity. Once the world accepts this false narrative, once people turn away from faith and embrace these so-called true creators, they will have no defense against what comes next. The entities will reveal their true nature. By then, it will be too late. But the greatest lie is not just what they will reveal. It is what they have carefully concealed for centuries. The deception is already in motion. and I have seen where it leads. I never believed in the supernatural. My life was rooted in science, in the pursuit of knowledge that could be tested, measured, and proven. Faith, prophecy, warnings of things unseen, I dismissed it all. But when I died beneath the ice, I saw what was never meant to be revealed to the world. I was shown what lies beneath Antarctica, what has been hidden for millennia, and what powerful people are preparing to unleash. I witnessed the deception that is coming, the great lie that will seduce the world, and the terrible price that will be paid by those who choose to believe it. This is not about extraterrestrials. This is about something far older and far more sinister. When Jesus took me beyond the Antarctic ice walls, I saw what lay buried beneath. The structures I had glimpsed in my research weren't just ancient ruins or remnants of a forgotten civilization. They were deliberate constructs, built for a purpose so dark it shook me to my core. I saw a city stretching beyond sight, massive, foreboding, built from materials that seemed to absorb the very light around them. It wasn't abandoned. It wasn't a relic of the past. It was waiting. At its center stood a throne. It was unlike anything I had ever seen. Vast, intimidating, carved with symbols that pulsed with an unnatural energy. This was no ordinary throne. It was meant for a false ruler, a being that had been sealed away, waiting to be crowned by those who served the deception. And the world's most powerful leaders knew about it. They weren't just aware of what lay beneath the ice. They were preparing for it. I saw them, politicians, billionaires, the heads of shadowy organizations moving in secrecy, working toward a single goal. They weren't uncovering history. They weren't searching for knowledge. They were preparing for an event, a moment when the world would be presented with a choice. A false savior was coming, one who would claim to have the answers humanity had been seeking for centuries. They would call it the next stage of evolution, the long-awaited awakening of mankind, and the leaders of the world were already aligning themselves with it. I saw their plans unfold, how they would introduce this deception gradually, how they would prepare the world to embrace it. It would begin with disclosure, controlled leaks, carefully orchestrated releases of information about what lay beneath Antarctica. They would introduce the idea slowly, planting seeds in the public's mind so that when the truth was fully revealed, it wouldn't be rejected, it would be welcomed. They would present this being, the one meant for the throne, as something to be embraced, not feared, a guide, a teacher, a being of light and wisdom, and the world would believe it. But that wasn't the worst part. I saw what would come next, the final step in their plan. Once the world accepted this false ruler, a gift would be offered to humanity, a mark, an upgrade. They would tell us it was a breakthrough in human potential, the merging of biology and technology, a way to unlock abilities that had remained dormant within us, enhanced intelligence, extended lifespans, the elimination of disease. It would be marketed as the next step in our evolution. People would line up for it. They would beg for it. And they would have no idea what they were truly giving up. Jesus showed me what they wouldn't tell the world. This mark wasn't just an upgrade. It was an irrevocable choice, a spiritual severance. The moment someone accepted it, they would lose something infinitely more valuable than their physical limitations. They would lose their connection to God, not metaphorically, not symbolically, permanently. It wasn't just about altering the body. It was about altering the soul. I saw it happening. People embracing the mark, reveling in their new abilities, unaware of what had just been stripped from them. They no longer felt guilt. They no longer felt conviction. They no longer heard the voice that had whispered to them all their lives, calling them back to truth. The part of them that could still be redeemed was gone. And by the time they realized what they had traded for their enhancement, it would be too late. I begged Jesus to show me another way, a way to stop it, a way to undo what was coming, but he shook his head. They must choose, he said, and many will choose wrongly. because that was the heart of the deception. It wouldn't be forced. It wouldn't be implemented through violence or coercion. It would be desired. People would want it. They would plead for it. They would embrace their own destruction because they had been deceived into believing it was their salvation. I saw believers struggle, trying to warn those around them, trying to speak the truth in a world that no longer wanted to hear it. Families were torn apart. Parents watched their children take the mark, knowing they had just lost them forever. And those who refused? They were cast out, treated as relics of the past, as obstacles to humanity's advancement, and then as threats. Jesus turned to me, his eyes filled with sorrow. "You must tell them," he said. "Warn them before it begins." I wanted to wake up. I wanted to forget what I had seen, but I couldn't, because it was real. It was coming. And soon, everyone will have to choose. The world will be offered a false enlightenment, a throne will be filled, and a deception so complete will unfold that even the most faithful will question what is true. They will call it progress. They will call it unity. They will call it the next stage of human evolution. But it is a trap, and once you step into it, there is no way back. But I couldn't keep quiet. What I saw wasn't a hallucination or a fading dream. It was real. And when I opened my eyes in the hospital bed, I knew I had returned not with just a memory, but with a mission. I wasn't supposed to survive. When I fell into that abyss beneath the Antarctic ice, when the crushing cold wrapped around me like a shroud, I knew I was gone. There was no coming back. The darkness closed in, my body gave up, and I felt myself drift into something that should have been the end. But it wasn't. I was taken somewhere else, beyond the physical, beyond what my scientific mind could explain. I was shown things no man was ever meant to see, secrets that had been hidden for millennia, waiting beneath the ice, waiting for the right moment to emerge. And now, I was back. When my eyes flickered open in that hospital bed, the fluorescent lights above me burning into my retinas, the weight of what I had seen crashed over me like a tidal wave. I had died. I had seen the truth. And now I had to warn the world. But how? Who would believe me? My body was weak, but my mind raced. I struggled to sit up, the IVs pulling against my skin, the beeping of the machines around me reminding me that I was alive when I shouldn't be. A nurse rushed in, her face a mixture of shock and relief. "You're awake," she said. I barely heard her. My hands were shaking, my heart pounding in my chest, not from fear, but from urgency. "I need to speak to someone," I rasped. "Now." She tried to calm me, told me I had been unconscious for days, that I needed rest. But there was no time for rest. The deception was already beginning. I had seen it, how world leaders were preparing to unveil their so-called great discovery, how they would dress it up in scientific language, how they would slowly condition the public to accept the greatest lie ever told. They were going to introduce a false ruler, a being meant to deceive mankind into surrendering everything. And people would believe it, because the lie would be beautiful. It would be everything they wanted to hear. A promise of peace, a cure for disease, an evolution beyond our current limitations. But it would all come at a price. And once they accepted it, there would be no going back. I had to stop it. I wasn't naive. I knew exactly how this would go. A man wakes up from a coma, raving about a vision he had while clinically dead? It was the stuff of tabloids, the kind of thing people dismissed as hallucinations, the result of oxygen deprivation or trauma-induced delusions. If I told the truth, I wouldn't just be ignored. I would be silenced. Because those in power didn't want this information getting out. They were the ones orchestrating the deception. If they caught wind that I had seen beyond the veil, that I had witnessed what was truly beneath the ice, that I knew what they were planning, They would do everything to bury me. I couldn't let that happen. I had to be smart. The moment I was strong enough, I asked for a phone. The hospital had confiscated my belongings when I was brought in, but I managed to convince a sympathetic nurse to let me make a call. I dialed a colleague first, Dr. Everett, the only man I knew who might actually listen. When he picked up, I barely let him speak before launching into what I had seen. I told him about the city beneath the ice, the throne, the false ruler waiting to be revealed. I told him about the governments working behind the scenes, about the mark that would soon be introduced as an upgrade, but would permanently sever people's connection to God. There was silence on the other end. Then, a deep breath. "Martin," he said, choosing his words carefully. "You've been through a traumatic experience. You need to rest. Let's talk when you're feeling better." I felt my stomach drop. Even he didn't believe me. Even he thought I was crazy. I tried to push, tried to explain that this wasn't some fever dream, that everything I was saying would start unfolding soon, but I could hear it in his voice. He had already made up his mind. "I'll check on you soon, all right?" he said, his tone gentle, patronizing. Then he hung up. I should have known it wouldn't be that easy. Later that night, 2 men in suits arrived at the hospital. They weren't doctors. They weren't family. They flashed their credentials and asked to speak with me privately. My gut told me exactly who they were before they even said a word. Government. Intelligence. Control. They didn't threaten me outright. They didn't have to. They spoke in measured tones, their expressions carefully neutral as they suggested that I might be confused after my ordeal, that it was important to rest, to take care of my mental health. "Sometimes the mind fills in gaps after a traumatic event," one of them said. "We wouldn't want to spread misinformation, would we?" the other added. I met their eyes, and in that moment, I knew. They knew exactly what I had seen. And they were here to make sure I never talked about it. I had a choice to make. I could keep fighting, keep trying to tell the world, knowing I would be discredited, mocked, possibly even eliminated. Or I could go underground. I could be strategic. If I wanted to get the truth out, I couldn't do it through conventional means. They controlled the media. They controlled the scientific community. They controlled the narrative. But they didn't control everyone. I needed to find the people who were still willing to question. I needed to find those who still had eyes to see and ears to hear. So I disappeared. I left the hospital under the cover of night, knowing they were watching me. I wiped my tracks, abandoned everything tied to my old life, and went off the grid. Because this isn't just about exposing a lie, it's about stopping what's coming. But disappearing didn't mean escaping. It only meant watching from the shadows, waiting for the inevitable. I have been watching the news like a man waiting for an earthquake, knowing it's coming, feeling the tremors beneath my feet, but completely powerless to stop it. At first, it was subtle. Headlines buried beneath political scandals and celebrity gossip. Unusual electromagnetic anomalies detected beneath Antarctic ice. A few days later, another report emerged. Geologists discover ancient structures deep below the frozen continent. And then, the first major announcement was made. Groundbreaking Antarctic discovery could rewrite human history. At that moment, I knew everything had begun. I tried to warn people. I told them not to believe what they were about to hear. Not to be deceived by the scientific breakthrough that would soon be broadcast across every screen, every device, every headline. Because I knew the truth. And I knew the lie they were about to impose upon the world. The reports kept coming, each one carefully crafted to plant the seeds of curiosity, of acceptance. This was not just information. It was psychological warfare, a slow and calculated manipulation. I watched as leading scientists gave interviews with strained smiles, their words vague but full of promise. We have found something that challenges our understanding of human history. What we are uncovering in Antarctica is truly unprecedented. The world was eager for answers. They wanted to believe that we were on the verge of something extraordinary. And that was the danger. Because when the moment came, when they finally revealed the truth, people wouldn't just accept it. They would celebrate it. They would worship it. And in doing so, they would turn away from the real truth. I kept repeating the same warning. Do not believe what they tell you. Do not trust the miracles they will show you. Do not accept the mark, the upgrade, the gift they will offer. I told them that there was only one safeguard against the coming deception. Faith in Jesus Christ. Not science, not government, not reason or logic or personal strength. Only Him. Because I had seen what lay beneath the ice. I had seen who was waiting to be revealed. And I knew that no human willpower, no amount of skepticism, no intellectual debate would be strong enough to resist what was coming. Only faith, only the truth, only Jesus. But few were listening. Then I received a message that confirmed my worst fears. An email buried in my inbox among spam and ignored warnings from my bank about suspicious activity. No subject line, no sender name, just a string of random characters. I hesitated before opening it, half expecting it to be another attempt by the authorities to track me down. But something told me to look closer. Inside was a single encrypted message. I ran it through a decryption program I had acquired months ago, knowing I would need it eventually. The message was simple. You were right, but it's already too late. And beneath it, 2 initials, JM. I froze. Dr. James McAllister, a former government scientist, a man who had worked deep within classified research, who had disappeared from public life years ago. I had tried to contact him before, but he never responded. Until now. It took me a moment to process the weight of those words. It's already too late. Not soon, not eventually. It had already begun. The deception was no longer a plan in the shadows. It had already emerged in the open. I felt the walls closing in, my breath coming faster as the realization hit me. The Antarctic discoveries weren't just preparations for the lie. They were the final steps in executing it. The world had already been conditioned to accept it. The governments, the scientists, the elite, they were all in position. Whatever lay beneath the ice wasn't just waiting to be revealed. It was already moving. And the moment the final piece was set in place, the world would be told the truth. I knew what was coming next. They would perform signs and wonders. They would show miracles. They would display power in ways that even the strongest skeptics would struggle to deny. And then, the false ruler, the one seated on the throne beneath the ice, would step forward. He would not come as a conqueror. He would come as a savior, a being of light, of wisdom, of promise. He would offer humanity the final gift, the mark, the upgrade, a biological, technological, and spiritual transformation. A way to transcend human limitations. A way to finally evolve. And millions, billions, would accept it without hesitation, because they had been taught to desire it. But I had seen the cost. I had seen what happens when you accept it. And I knew that once you take it, you are no longer your own. You belong to them. This might be my last chance to say this before they erase me completely, before my voice is silenced for good. So listen carefully. You must resist the false miracles. You must reject the upgrade. You must not believe the lie. Because once you do, once you step into that deception, once you accept the mark, there is no turning back, not just in this life, but forever. They will call it a gift. They will call it progress. They will call it the final step in human evolution. But in reality, it is a spiritual death sentence, a choice that will sever you from God permanently. I don't know how much longer I have before they find me, before I disappear like the others who tried to warn the world. But if you are reading this, if there is still time, hold on to your faith. Do not be deceived, because the battle has already begun. And soon, every soul will have to choose. Will you stand for the truth, or will you fall for the greatest lie ever told? The choice is coming, and this time, it's forever. I have said everything I know. I have warned you about what is coming, but now the choice is no longer in my hands. It is in yours. Do you believe in what I have revealed, or will you continue to believe the lies they are about to plant in your mind? The world will soon change. An irreversible change. They will paint a beautiful story, a promising future, a gift that everyone will want to receive. But don't be deceived. That gift may destroy your soul forever. I am not here to spread fear, I'm here to speak the truth. And I know the truth will make many uncomfortable, but it can also save those who listen. Leave a comment below. Do you recognize the signs of deception around you? Are you ready to stand against it? Hit like to let me know you are standing with me against this grand illusion. Hit share to warn others before it's too late. Hit subscribe to never miss a message. God will bless those who hold on to the truth. Time is running out. Are you ready for the biggest choice of your life?